Welcome to St Luke's Woodside and week 2 of Black History Month, as we continue to celebrate the experience and gifts of Black people, both in our church, in wider society, and in our shared history. The programme starts with a conversation between one of the members of our church, Sheila, and her daughter, Monique. After which, Genevieve takes us through another episode in the contribution of Black servicemen and women in the armed forces in both World Wars. And as a brilliant finale, we have an original poem, Black Lives Matter, written and performed by our youth group member, Konya Sky. Please go to the St Luke's Woodside Facebook page for more information and links.
Okay, so Mum, if you start off by telling us your name.
Sheila Roberts Morgan.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in the island of St. Vincent.
And are you an only child or?
I'm an only child, a single mother.
Okay. So it was just you and your mum. And where did you go to school?
I was brought up in an Anglican community and I attended an Anglican school.
And was that walking distance of your house?
Very much so.
Uh-huh.
Just 2 roads and we're there.
Uh-huh. And was that linked to is it St Paul's Church?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, St Paul's Church,
Uh-huh.
which is a very high church.
Okay, a bit like St Luke's?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And when did you come to Britain?
I came to Britain in 1962.
And you came by plane, was it into Gatwick?
Into Gatwick Airport.
Okay.
Yes.
And where did you live when you first came?
I lived on Portland Road.
Okay. And that's just around the corner from St Luke's?
Near St Luke's Church.
Yeah. Number 345, if I'm right?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Just by the bus stop?
By the bus stop.
By the bus stop, okay. And when you first came here, what work did you do?
I worked in Croydon Social Services, social care for the elderly.
Okay. And if I remember from what you've told me, you worked at Coombe Lodge.
I worked at Coombe Lodge.
Yeah.
And
which was a residential home then, wasn't it?
Home, yeah. Yes.
And then from there?
From there, I worked at Valley View, which was one of Croydon's homes.
Yeah, that was in Selsdon, wasn't it?
In Selsdon.
Yeah. And then when you retired, where were you working then?
Before I retired, when I retired, I was working at Brookhurst Court Special Sheltered Housing, and there I was a manager.
Okay. So that was in South Norwood, yeah? Yeah. Okay. So how long have you been worshipping at St Luke's?
I first started to go into St Luke when I came here, and having moved addresses, I wasn't able to attend. But in 1976, when I returned to Addiscombe, I therefore started worshipping at St Luke's. Okay,
so since 1976? 76 you've been at Luke's, so a long time. So that's 44 years. 44 years, wow, okay. Okay, so what would you say St Luke's means to you?
Peace, tranquility, and to worship in the house of God.
Okay. So if you were to think about a Black role model and someone that's influenced you, what would you say? Who would you think of?
I would think of Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence, Stephen Lawrence's parents. The tenacity, the courage to get justice for the murder of their son, and also to bring about and talk about racism.
Okay. And so if you think about Black History Month in general, what would you say that means to you?
Black History Month means to get people to be aware of the sacrifices and contributions we have made throughout and beyond. And to know, for them to think that we matter.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you could actually meet your 16-year-old self and give yourself at that age some advice, what advice would you give?
The advice I would give to myself is this: to have a better education, knowledge, and also just to help people who are less fortunate than myself.
I think you've done that. I think with all your work for social services and everything over the years, you've done that. You've helped people that are less fortunate yourself. So yeah, no, that's good advice.
Some 10,000 people left their families and homes in the Caribbean to join the British Armed Forces, working behind the scenes and on the front line to defeat the Nazis. Although Britain was initially reluctant to let black people join the war effort, the rules were relaxed as the war progressed and the casualties mounted. Enthusiasm to defend the mother country was widespread across the Caribbean, and Victor Brown, born in Jamaica, like thousands of others, was quick to sign up. In 1942, he was one of only 2 black men serving on an oil tanker in the North Atlantic when it was torpedoed by the Nazis. He is credited with saving several lives on board and still remembers the incident vividly. "We rushed out onto the deck and we could see the periscope out of the water," he said. As the ship listed, he used an axe to cut down a lifeboat and cleared the vessel. "If we had left it, the ship would have eventually dragged the lifeboat down with it," he said. Winston Murphy, the only other black member of the 42-strong crew, was amongst the survivors. 70 years on, he has never forgotten his friend's quick thinking. "Had he not chopped the rope, we would never have got clear of that boat," he added.
This is a poem I wrote soon after the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Their unfortunate deaths heighten our awareness of police brutality, social injustice, inequality, and racism. With a very heavy heart, I wrote this poem called Black Lives Matter. Being black is not a crime. Losing innocent lives every day. Angry people shout with pride. Chaos and havoc storm the streets. Killed because of the colour skin he is. Little by little, the hate is rebuilt. Inequality swallows our world today. Violence isn't born, it is taught. Easy targets they call us nowadays. Silence is not an option. Hating someone for their skin colour is like hating a certain type of skittle. Minority is the category we're put in. Actions speak louder than words. Tired of seeing families suffer. THUGS are what we hear on the news. Everything should have changed many years ago. Racism still lives on, but how far will it go? Where do we go from here? What is the next chapter in our story? Time we sat down around a table, leaders listening to real issues raised, implement policies and next steps. There is a lot of systematic racism that is not addressed in our society. Why is there 47,571 racially motivated crimes every year? Around 130 racially motivated crimes a day in England and Wales alone. Equality is all we ask.
Look to God. not be afraid.